Okay, so I'm here to talk about the future of the franchise, Scream 5. The Weinsteins promised us a new trilogy of Scream films. And after the first one, as we heard, after Scream 4, and they brought in this whole new young cast, and we're like, dope. They were supposed to carry us into the future for a new trilogy. And so we all go and see Scream 4, and they all end up dying, as we know. And we're like, what the hell? So as you go leaving the theater, you're like, what the hell? Where are they going to go with this franchise? It puts them in a tough place to lead off and whatnot. I'm here with the MyersFan 25 to talk about this. And the only official news that we've heard is late in an interview in March 2012, they were asking Kevin Williamson, the original writer who's written each of the films and partially the last two, said no way in a recent interview when someone asked him about Scream 5.
I'm sorry to cut you off, JBM, but I have to do this. I'm sorry. There's something that the Michael Myers fanatic has to know. He wants to know about the bedpan fight. What's up with that? The Michael Myers fanatic wants to know what if there had been feces in the bedpan, JBM?
Exactly. I got no comment. No, but if you watch the commentary to Scream 4, they say that they shot Jill in the chest instead of shooting her in the head so that she could possibly come back in Scream 5.
It doesn't matter where they shot her. Even if she is alive, you're going to know she's the killer.
Yeah, well, she'll be working with someone else. You know what? That's what they should have done different. I was hoping to go, when I went to go and see Scream 4, I was hoping that the killer would actually survive. And in Scream 5, they gotta freaking make Laurie bite it. Like, no, they gotta make Sidney. They need to make Sidney bite it like Laurie did in Halloween Resurrection, in the words of Charlie.
Let me ask you a question. If this killer does live, how can she pull this off a second time?
Maybe in the opening scene they'll show them taking Jill's body to the morgue, and she'll like bust out and like kill the person, kind of like Michael Myers in Resurrection. And then Sidney will start getting stalked again, and they'll show that there's two Ghostface in the same room so that they will know that there's another Ghostface, and we don't know who that killer is. So we'll know that.
I'll give you this much. This is a new decade, right? Isn't that what they said? A new decade, new rules.
Yeah, then it still felt like the old decade.
I guess we can have your idea. I like your idea, actually. It's fresh. It's a fresh idea.
It's fresh considering that it's the same recipe in all the other ones that the killer ends up dying. But you got to keep in mind that this franchise is a mockery of 80s slasher movies. And in all the 80s slasher movies, usually the villain would end up dying at the end. And there would always be a final girl, and that's why they've never killed Sidney, because it's kind of like a mockery, like, she survived all these 4 movies because she's the final girl, you know?
Well, what about a mental hospital? They could do that, you know?
Oh, give me a break. That mental hospital traumatized victim bullshit.
No, I'm not talking about Sidney. I'm talking about Jill.
Well, she's not really psychotic. She's just more jealous and did it for reasons, you know?
Yeah, but you're either psychotic or you're evil. You gotta be one of the two. There is no in the middle.
She's just jealous, she's just selfish.
She's a sociopath. Look at her.
I don't know about that. Well, maybe, because you never really see her talking with any of her friends, you know. She's just associated with them and uses them to get what she wants, you know. And in like the Wikipedia page for Scream, they try to pull it off like Jill's a fan of horror movies or whatnot, but I don't freaking buy it. What does she quote in the movie? Halloween, and that's it.
I think that's it, yeah.
Exactly. You know what? They do a disservice to... I'm not even going to say it because that's huge spoilers for this 80s slasher movie. But I'll talk about that when I review that 80s slasher movie. Anyway,
For Scream 5, just basically tell the fans what you think should happen, and then you can ask them what they think should happen.
dude, this is another situation just like the Halloween franchise, how Rob Zombie fucked up H2. They didn't fuck up Scream 4, but they just left it where it's going to be hard to pick up the pieces, and it's not clear to what direction they're going to go in for Scream 5. But that's obvious.
Wait,
But
what about this? What about this? They can have her as a hitchhiker.
Jill,
Yeah,
well, for what?
because, like, you know how everybody thinks that she's the hero? They're like, Jill Roberts, Jill is the hero. And Sydney comes out. But then Jill could come out when everybody goes home. She could just walk home and hitchhike like most sociopaths do, you know?
And then what?
She could, like, kill the guy that picks her up or whatever and stalk Sydney. Like you said, it's perfect.
Well, you're right, but they still gotta have some mystery as to who the killer is. They could bring Jill and she could have an accomplice again. But then that's hard to write a script like that. It's just like, because you gotta have characters that, like, have a reason to want to kill Sydney or whatnot. I'm gonna say this: Scream 4 was almost a really good script, though, a really good story of.
Really good. I thought it was great.
Because if you think about it, it was perfect timing. The first one came out in '96, and it was the 15th anniversary of the Woodsboro Massacre killings, Billy and Stu killings.
Yeah.
And those kids grew up, Jill and Hayden Panettiere and Charlie, they grew up in the horror remake generation, and what they were doing is a reboot or a remake of the first one. So it really fit the times. That was really dope. It was a great
I
script.
agree.
Their lives were almost perfect if they didn't die. Anyway, and they were trying to get famous. It also fit the times. They were like killing, and they were like uploading those videos onto YouTube. Anyway.
You know what, Josh? You and I should try that.
Oh, wow.
So, like, we could kill people and upload it on YouTube.
Oh, wow. Don't even talk that way.
I'm sorry. Let's start with Eric Beardballer.
We'll start with his haircut. We'll skin his head. Make him lose all his confidence.
You know, anyway, before I go, seriously, shout out to Eric Beardballer 92, even though you're not here.
What happened to that kid? After he fell on his head at that Led Zeppelin concert, he's never been the same.
Yeah, I honestly feel bad. Eric, we miss you. Come back, buddy, and keep making those videos.
After you graduate, I love your videos. You're one of the best YouTubers that I love to watch. So definitely,
Wait, who's one of the best YouTubers?
Eric Vierthaler. I love his videos.
Oh,
When he,
sorry, I thought you were talking about the themyersfan 25. Okay.
you would say that. Your ego's so huge, it's popping out of your head. Anyway.
It is. You're absolutely right.
Also, I gotta say this before I go. Before I go, I gotta say this. Wes Craven also said something about Scream 5. He's like, yeah, we're definitely gonna pretty much do it. But people think that I just sit around and think about the Scream script and da-da-da. No, we don't, Wes Craven. You've never written any...
You don't even think about Wes Craven at all. I don't ever hear you go, I wonder what Wes Craven's doing today.
I know. Whenever he writes his own films, they end up shitty. Like, My Soul to Take or something. Actually, that was a pretty good ending, but most of the movie was pretty much...
Crazy.
But 80% of the movie was boring as shit. Anyway,
Maybe we can get Jesse Wagner to write Scream 5.
he would just have Ghostface raping a toaster.
That's true.
Anyway, that was my final thoughts as of now. Kevin Williamson, I think he's just playing games with the Weinsteins. I think he just said that because he doesn't want to deal with the Weinstein shit, basically. Because they'll probably...
Because if he works with the Weinsteins, they'll just delay Scream for another 3 years.
Yeah, and they'll tear, like, whole sections out of his script and whatnot. So he's just like, you know what, I'm not dealing with that bullshit. So they're going to go through all this drama again. Honestly, it's not even in pre-production yet. They don't even have a script or any. They don't even have a start of a script or anything. It's probably going to be a few years until we get Scream 5, which is sad. And especially since Scream 4 didn't even do that good in theaters. Because it came out in April, the worst month to release a movie. Because the weather starts getting warm in the northern hemisphere. And everyone's going outside. They're not going to the movie theater. Anyway, this was JBM 2005 and the Myers Fan 25 on VillainNews.